Sherman seminar series. Going to start the Instagram live there. Hold on one second. Wanted to be able to focus today's episode on debt management and being able to have some strategies towards debt. One of the biggest struggles I see for a lot of people is they don't actually have a strategy. They just kind of happen and fall into it. So today we're going to dive in and talk about what you can be doing. Understanding there's a difference between good debt and also bad debt. There's certain things that can help you continue to move forward. There's other things when it comes to debt that can be overwhelming and a very heavy weight on your shoulders. So let's dive in and talk about this in a little bit more detail. So right now I'm going to be able to shift over to our PowerPoint presentation, and I'm going to move the Instagram live team over there as well. So hold on one second as we shift over. That way they can get a part of the conversation. Okay, so I apologize. It looks a little bit weird, but this is how we're going to do it today. So the idea is to be able to, when it comes to debt, is to make sure that you have a process at which you are doing things. So hold on one second. I need to. Hold on. It's not advancing for me. Okay, so this big stat here. This is from 2019, and I would say probably good odds that based on what we experienced last year, that consumer debt might be even a little bit higher. We're at $14.1 trillion. The average person having over 90,000 of personal debt. A lot of that's going to be related to student loans. Some of those are going to be FAFSA, like government loans. Others are going to be private loans. The other thing that we see very heavily on that one as well, unfortunately, is credit card debt, medical bills. Sometimes some of those bills have gone into collections. Of course, then back taxes that people are owing. And finally, the last one, a lot of times, is some kind of loan like a mortgage. So ultimately, the thing about it is basically think of it as you've borrowed the money from some institution, and they're going to charge you interest in order to pay that back later. So here's the three main ones that seem to be causing a lot of struggle financially for people in their lives. So let's first talk about the credit card, the old cash tree, if you will. So, for example, if you have a 25% credit interest rate on your credit card, it's going to equate to quite a considerable amount. So, if you think about the average millennial, they have $7,500 on credit card debt. Now, if you paid $200 a month, that's what this example is showing you each month, but you have a 15% interest. The amount that will go towards principal is only $106. 93 will actually go down to reducing that 7,500. So you actually end up spending over 2,683 if you're only paying $200 a month on top of that 7,500. Okay, so it'll take you 4.3 years to pay that off. That's a sizable amount considering it's $7,500 in debt. So what why they can be ultimately utilized is it's great to be able to build your credit. A lot of times right now in our communities, I mean, heck, there was a portion right last year, right, where there was a shortage in cash and coins. So using a credit card or a debit card was really the only way to do things. And so these are definitely really, really useful tools to be able to utilize. But again, just like any financial instrument, you want to be able to make sure that you're getting into it in a way that's meaningful and impactful for you. The next one that for a lot of people that have gotten into due to education is student loan debt. Now, one of the big things I would tell people is you don't have to know exactly what you want to do when you go into college, but you definitely want to identify what kind of career or what kind of job you can get the moment that you decide to leave college. So right now, this is a massive, massive amount, $1.5 trillion of student debt from student loans just in the United States, folks. This is just the U.S. number. That is across 44.5 million people. So that is just millions of dollars. Now, ever since the Great Recession of 2008, they are now including student loan debt against people's debt to equity ratio. What does that mean? It means it might be more difficult for you to be able to qualify for auto loans or mortgages when you have a sizable amount of student loan debt that you need to pay back on. The other one that people get into, sadly, they end up getting into too much house. You want to keep your mortgage monthly payment below 30%. The moment that it gets higher than that on your income take home, it's going to be very difficult for you financially to be able to make ends meet. So when you look at this, this can be a good debt. Also, at the same time, it's debt, right? So you're owing someone tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars when you get into a mortgage. So when you look at kind of the difference, it's about a $220,000 of a mortgage balance. So the important thing is just understanding what you can do in order to pay these things down. So for a lot of people, they have this idea of when it comes to paying off my house, renting or owning, they feel this compulsion to live in a house and buy a house by a particular time period. Typically, that time period was established by your mind as a young teen, and it has no bearing on actual reality. You didn't even know how much a house cost. You didn't know what a mortgage was. I find for a lot of people, they don't take enough time. They'll spend more time debating what to wear to a nice event, a work gala, than they will buying a mortgage or a house, which they'll pay off over the next 10, 15, or even 30 years. So think about that in regards to your approach towards your mortgage, is you want to be able to make sure that you're able to carry that as different situations might be thrown at you. And so if you have this notion of being in a house, owning a house by a particular age, you might need to throw out that notion depending on where you are in life. Maybe you didn't anticipate on going to graduate school or to get your PhD, and so now you've pushed that off. Maybe you weren't planning on having a family, and you had a family a lot younger than what you anticipated. So that now is the priority, and being able to buy the house might be something that is pushed off, 4 or 5 years down the road. So the main reason why it's important for people to get rid of debt is, number one, is it'll help with their credit. No, and this isn't in any order of importance, okay? But we find for a lot of people, this helps them reduce stress. Probably one of the biggest ones right now for people emotionally is just feeling just overwhelmed with the debt they might find themselves with. The other one is when they want to be able to invest or save or move forward positively, this debt will always be dragging them back, especially if the interest rates are higher than what you're going to get as a rate of return. So think of it like if you put money in your 401k at work, your investment account, your retirement account, and it gets a 10% rate of return, but you have a debt of $10,000 on a credit card at 25%. Well, that growth of 10% is completely getting eroded just from a total, income and money perspective, just based on what's going on in your circumstances. So something that you want to be able to definitely have a look at. You can't ignore this. You don't want to have that old ostrich, stick your head in the sand kind of approach. What are some of the strategies that you can do? One is what we call the avalanche method. It's to be able to have a look at the minimum payment on each debt and make sure that you devote anything that's left on that highest interest rate. So for a lot of people, they'll pay the minimums on everything, but they have an extra $100. Take that $100 and put it towards your credit card, because that's at 13.99% or 25.99%. And because that's the highest interest rate. You put that towards your mortgage, which might be at 3%, and is also that interest rate is tax deductible under individual federal income tax, might not be that helpful. Another method might be just having a look at kind of getting a little bit of momentum, the snowball approach. So knock off the small little balances and then go all the way to the largest. So if, let's say you have, 500 at a Kohl's card, 1,000 on a Target card, 200 at a medical bill, pay those, pay the 250, then the 500, then the 1,000, and then you can see about tackling the bigger ones. Or what some people will do, now sometimes there's a fee to do this, but you can consolidate your debt into one payment that's more comfortable. And a lot of times, by being able to have that structure and that strategy, it actually helps you pay it off quicker than if you're doing it individually, because a lot of times they'll end up working with your credit card companies in order to get a better interest rate and making that monthly amount a much more manageable. So, if you have any questions about your particular predicament, your particular situation, feel free to reach out to me. You got my digits there. Looking forward to helping you as you continue on your path towards financial freedom. Sherm's out. All right, everybody. Hope you're able to see that. Hope you have a fantastic day. We will see you tomorrow for some more seminar series with Sherman.